Okay, now I will move on to creating the assembly for your Machinist Vise for your lab 5, the Machinist Vise assembly. One of them I have it in here. So basically, I'm gonna create the assembly on the go, and I will add some mates. To start the assembly process, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open a new document. I'm gonna open the assembly document. I'm gonna save this one as. Actually, I'm gonna browse one of the parts. I will bring in the base first. It's Vise base, and I will drop it there. And once I'm there, my unit should be IPS because that's the where I had created my other files. And now I'm gonna save this file as. I'm gonna call it Machinist Vise assembly 5. Save. And I will bring in the next component. The next component, I could do this one as a sub-assembly and then complete them, but I'm not gonna do the sub-assembly for this one. So I'm gonna bring in a moving jaw as my next component. So I'm gonna basically drop it there, and I am going to uh, position this one in a way so that I could uh, start doing the assembly a little better. Alright, so I'm gonna start adding the mate. So first mate I'm gonna add is I'm gonna make this face and this face parallel. The next mate I'm gonna add is I'm gonna select this face and I'm gonna select this face. I'm gonna make them parallel as well. So now if I'm moving, I am moving around still in the air. I'm gonna select this face. Actually, I'm not gonna select that one. All right, so I'm gonna select this face and mate. I'm gonna add a mate there so that I don't know, clear selection. I'm gonna add a concentric mate. Sorry, my mouse is kind of running out of the battery, so I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna make them concentric. So now I am only able to move in this along this path. So that's how things are lined up. And the next component I'm gonna bring in is associated with this moving jaw. I'm gonna bring in the component. It is the okay, I'm gonna basically expand this one a little bit more and view large icon so it's easy for me to visualize. I need this key. So this is what I wanna bring in, and I'm gonna rotate this component a bit so that I can line things a bit better. So now I'm gonna add some mates. So the mate I'm gonna add is clear selection. I'm gonna select this face and I'm gonna select this face. I'm gonna make them coincident. I'm gonna select this face and this face. I'm gonna make them coincident. I'm gonna select this bottom face and this face, I'm gonna make them coincident. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mirror this component on the other side. To do that, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select go to linear pattern. I'm gonna select mirror component. To components to mirror, I'm gonna select this. For mirror plane, I'm gonna select the plane that is right in the middle there. To do that, I'm gonna select this moving jaw, and I'm gonna figure out which plane is right in the middle. This is the right plane. I'm gonna select that, and I'm simply gonna click OK. So my component is mirrored on the other side. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring the jaw plate. And I'm gonna browse, and this is the component I'm gonna bring in. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna, for example, select this one, click on mate, and I'm gonna select this one. I just want to make sure, and I want to align it the other way. So this is the orientation I want. However, the hole that I want to line up with, it needs to be okay. I'm gonna click OK. I'm gonna just double check. I'm gonna rotate this one around which hole it's lining up with. So yeah, it's the wrong hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna modify this one. I'm gonna delete this. I'm gonna select this one here, right here. So now I just want to double check. No, this is not how I want this component. So basically, I'm gonna clear the selection, and I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna line this one. I want it to be like that. That's the orientation I want. So this is where I'm gonna go select this, and this is where I'm gonna select that, and I'm gonna make them concentric. So now things are where I need them to be, and I'm gonna add a concentric mate here between these two holes, and this is all done. And the next one, I'm gonna select this face, and I'm gonna select this face, and I'm gonna click OK. All right, so this component is done. So basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this part. I'm simply gonna say Control C, and I'm gonna drop Control V by pressing Control V in here. And now I'm gonna rotate this component so that I line things up. All right, after lining this one a little bit, I'm gonna start adding the mates. The first mate that I'm gonna add is, I'm simply gonna go select this, click on mate, and I'm gonna select this hole, and I'm gonna make it concentric. The second mate I'm gonna add is, I'm simply gonna select this one, and I'm gonna make them parallel, and this face and this face, I'm gonna make them coincident. So this would do it, even if the holes may be slightly off due to tolerances and so on and so forth, things will line up. So after aligning this, so this I can move in and out, I will add another component. The next component that I'm going to add with this assembly is it's going to be basically the this flathead screw. So I'm going to bring it in here and I'm going to start adding the mates. The first mate I'm going to select is this one, and I'm going to select this face and then this face, and I'm going to make them concentric. And after that's done, I'm going to select this face and this face, and that will be coincident. So that takes care of that. And now I'm going to right click on this component and I'm going to copy with the mates, and I'm going to simply select this, oops, delete, and I'm going to move this one from to make it ready for copy for mates. And the first mate is this one, and then the second coincident mate needs to be around this surface, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to carry on this with the other side. So in here, the first one is this, and I'm just going to clear the selection so that I get the proper one, this one, and this one. Click OK, and I'm going to select this one and this one and click OK. So that is done, and I'm gonna get out of that one, and now I'm gonna add the other components. The next component I'm gonna bring in is going to be this Vise set screw, and I'm just gonna drop it there, and I'm gonna rotate it around so that I can line things up. So the first thing first, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on mate, and I'm gonna select the cylindrical face on the screw, and I'm gonna select this one, and I'm gonna make a concentric mate there. And the next mate that I'm gonna add is I'm gonna select this surface, and I'm gonna select this surface, and I'm gonna make them coincident. So after I have done that, I'm not gonna move from there. I'm simply gonna go to this component, and I'm gonna copy this uh, component with the mates. It's the set screw, and I'm going to click on this arrow, and the first concentric surface is going to be that one, and coincident surface is this one, and I'm going to click OK. So that's done. So we are almost getting close to finishing the full assembly. Now I'm going to bring in another component, and this component is going to be the lead screw, and I'm simply going to drop it there, and I'm going to select. Before I do that, actually I'm going to bring another component, and that component is going to be this Vise collar. Open, and I'm going to drop it there, and I'm going to basically make the assembly here for these two first. So I'm going to select that face and click on mate, and I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to align them this is the way I want to actually line it up. So I am going to make them concentric. Once that's done, the next mate between the two I'm going to add is this surface and this surface, and I'm going to make them coincident. And now I'm going to bring another component which I will add it in there. Insert component. I'm going to click on browse to go to my work folder. I'm going to bring this Vise screw retainer. And this one I'm going to mount it right there. To do that, I'm going to click on mate. I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to select this face, and I'm going to make them concentric. So that's done. And the next mate that I'm going to add is select this face, and make them coincident. So this is done, and now I'm going to insert this one in here. So I'm going to click this and this, and I'm gonna align it the other way. I just want to make sure. Okay, so they're concentric. So now I am able to move this in and out, and I'm gonna add another mate. For this one, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna simply select this face, and I'm gonna select this face, and I'm gonna make them coincident. So now they're connected. So basically I can move this in and out. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the remaining components to this. But temporarily I could fix things, but I'm gonna just leave them as is. It's okay. And now the I'm gonna go to insert component. I'm gonna click on browse. I wanna bring this handle rod, and I'm gonna just drop it there, and I'm gonna make the mate. It's a simple mate. I'm gonna select this face, and I'm gonna select the cylindrical face, and I'm basically gonna make them concentric. So this one basically moves in and out now. And now I will bring the next component. I'm gonna go to insert components, browse. From here I'm gonna grab this handle, and this is where I'm gonna insert this one in. So before doing it, adding the mates, I'm just gonna position it in a way so that it's correctly positioned, and the position that I want is basically somewhere there, and I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna add the mates. I'm gonna click on mate, select this this one, and click on this, and this is basically gonna be concentric, and this one, and just gonna rotate it a little bit. I'm gonna grab that, and I'm gonna make them concentric as well. So now this is like that, and now I will bring in the pen. Before doing that, what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna replicate this on the other side, and I'm gonna simply Control C and then press Control V on my keyboard, and then I have the copied and pasted this component. And the first thing first, I'm gonna add a mate between this and this. They need to be concentric, and I'm gonna just basically rotate it around a bit so that it goes there. I'm gonna click OK. So the next mate I'm gonna do is between this hole, and I'm gonna rotate this model, and I'm gonna select this hole, and I'm gonna make them concentric. So this is where I wanted them to be, and now I'm gonna insert the last components for this assembly. I'm gonna go to insert component, browse my working folder, and from there I'm gonna click in and bring in this handle pin. So with this handle pin, I am gonna start adding the mates. The first mate I'm gonna add is between this, and if it goes in too much, I am going to basically try to bring it in a way that this positions. Let's just position this one a little bit better. I'm going to move this component close, and I'm going to rotate it around so that it doesn't get lost in the and I'm going to move this component up so that I will be able to see where I want to add the constraints. So the first constraint that I'm going to add now is I'm simply going to click this mate, and I'm going to select this one because center axis is the same, and that's where I'm going to add the concentric mate. And then I'm going to come and try to grab this edge, and I'm gonna grab this edge and I'm gonna make them coincident. So that takes care of that. And now I'm gonna copy this mate, this pin with the mates. And I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna replicate on the other side. So the first surface, I'm gonna select this. The second surface, uh, um, I am going to basically rotate it around, and I'm gonna select this one. Wait a minute, before I do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna position this one on the other side too, so that things are kind of lined up. If that's the what I want to copy, and perhaps I may just add without the mates, then going and breaking the mates. Okay, so I'm just gonna add another pen. Gonna Control C and Control V. So this is the pen. I'm just gonna bring it here so that it won't get lost in the thing when I add the mates. I'm gonna click on this mate, select this, so it's there, it's concentric, and then I'm gonna just simply repeat this. Click here and make it coincident. So for the purpose of this lab, this is basically your assembly is complete. But if I rotate this model around, as you can see, this is all flying through. To overcome that, I could add a couple more mates. And the mates that I'm going to add now is this. It's going to be advanced limit mates. I'm going to click on this mates. I'm going to go to advanced mates. And I'm going to click on this distance mate, distance limit mate. And over here, the area that I want to select is this. I'm going to add the mates between some planes. The first thing that I'm going to look at is the handle cylinder, and I'm going to expand that. In there, I'm going to look at the plane which I could use. I'm going to select front plane for that under handle cylinder, and then I'm going to use this lead screw. There's the lead screw. I'm going to expand that, and I'm going to use this plane, and I'm going to add the distance mate with between them. So the minimum distance that I want between them is just gonna experiment a little bit here, how much distance that I need. Yes, oh, it's going through, so perhaps somewhere there. So a minimum distance I want to have is 80.8 inches, and the maximum distance I'm gonna do is probably 2 inches. And I'm gonna basically check where that would be. I could check the raw dimensions, but I'm just trying to do this on the go. I just want to know the distance between this when this hits this. Okay, I'm going through. I click too many times. I'm gonna let it stop where it stops. Okay, so I'm gonna try to enter around 4. One more click. Yeah, that's where would it be. So the maximum I'm gonna keep around 4.1, and minimum I'm gonna keep around 0.8, and the starting one I'm gonna keep it at 0.8. Hopefully this will work. This is fine, and now as you can see, it only moves into this range. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add another limit mate between this surface and this surface. So the minimum distance that I know I want between them is probably 0. So I want them to be in contact. That's the minimum that you could have. The starting one, I can keep it at 0, for example. And the maximum distance, um, I would have to experiment again. Um, the maximum, I'm gonna just try it with the 3. Let's see what happens. And oops, I need to specify the other face. There we go. So 0 and 3, that's the range I'm specifying. And now I'm going to try to move in and out. See, yeah, this hits that, it stops, and this hits, this stops. So more or less, that's where I want it to be. So this basically completes all the assembly for this project. So after completing this assembly, you can work on your mini design project 5, which is due. In that mini design project, you're supposed to redesign these job plates to make this um, machinist Vise a little bit more versatile, where it could be used to hold irregular shaped objects. Before stopping here, I'm going to show you a couple of things that you could use for your documentation in future, or it may be you may be tested on the exam to show the cross-section view in the assembly environment or in your drawing environment, but I'm just going to show you one thing here. So basically these are the planes, couple of them I have. I could use these planes to just, if I wanted to look the section view of this assembly, I could simply click on this and I could drag this so that wherever I want to look at the assembly, how things are mated internally, I could just click OK. So it basically shows the entire thing. It's basically is the section view. If you want to get out of this, as soon as you click here, it goes out. Sometime for the documentation purpose or for the presentation, you want to save this cross-section view. This icon does not save anything. It only shows things in the current view. If you want to do that, what you could do is you could go to insert and create this model break view. So with this, you could use the certain planes to make the cuts for your object. So for example, I'm just rotating this one around, and if I select this, I could change the angle of the slice if I want by dragging this. So it could basically will make the cuts accordingly. So this is one thing that you can experiment with. I'm just gonna click OK to just demonstrate. So as you can see, it has chopped the assembly where I have those planes. Uh, so in this situation, if you use this insert model break view, this one is saved under configuration, which is if you go to the tree manager, this tab here, this is for configuration. So this view is saved in here. So if you need it for your presentation for whatever purpose, you could simply click on the configuration and you could just show you that. And if you want to get out of this view, go back to your normal view, you just double click on it. So it goes in here. And if you want to see it again, you click in here. So that's where basically it's saved. So I'm simply gonna get out of it, and then that's where it is. So thank you very much for watching all these videos, and I hope you find them useful if you were stuck somewhere. Thank you so much.